fucking casual feeling episode of South Pacific Muscle tonight. I might even turn my stereo off just to pretend I'm next. And it's been a bit like that though, bro. It's been one of those days, you know, like I fucking got up and it was fucking hot, so I chucked some shorts on, went into cardio and bare feet on the sand, and then fucking came back, went into town, had to get a few groceries, got to the podcast and thought, fuck, I'm putting a t-shirt on for the first time today. So it's been very fucking casual Saturdays here, and I'm hoping that the rest of you guys, bar Paris, because Paris is still locked in his cell block for another 60 odd hours. But I hope the rest of you guys out there got out and had some fun in the sun and enjoyed a really nice day after some fucking madness with earthquakes and tsunamis and COVID levels and things. So it's been a cool day, and we thought we'd just have some fun. So we've got one of our regulars, Mike Kingsnorth, IFBB Pro, and Paris, who everyone knows, one of the top contenders in the amateur ranks at the moment, and kind of fitting that I've got Paris on today because we were having a bit of a chat about the controversy about Blessing and Nick Walker, and I thought who better to make some commentary on one hell of a freak, or two freaks really, two massive freaks, but the biggest freak in New Zealand. So welcome on board, Paris, and Mike, for your expert eye. I can't wait to hear some commentary. But up to the right of me, Mr. Tab, how has Dunedin been treating you? It's looking very, very sunny down there.
It's pretty warm today, actually. We had our 4-day summer happened this week, so
mean, bro, mean. Right, hey, we'll kick off. I think before we kick off, has anyone been following the Australian Nationals?
Yeah.
Just wow, fuck, what to say? What were your thoughts about the overall there?
The guy with a mustache won, eh?
Brad.
Yeah.
He looked phenomenal, but then so did the other big boy from New South Wales, Mike Pearson. He looked fucking phenomenal, you know. Like I was watching.
Tall too, wasn't he?
Unsure about his height.
Mike Pearson's the guy with the pink hair, isn't he?
Didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Didn't notice it on stage, so but wasn't looking for it.
Did he do the Pro-Am a few years ago?
He did, yeah. I competed with him at the Pro-Am ages ago, yeah.
Been chasing that pro card
over there about him not wanting.
About not wanting to do what?
Yeah, it's funny. On the Aussie pages, they bitched back when he didn't win over here. In fact, they bitched about any of them not winning over here, blaming our judges. And then they sit there and go, what wonderful judging it was at the Arnolds. And I'm laughing, going, you dickheads. It's a lot of the same judges because the Kiwis all flew over and judged it. So
yeah.
Love it. It's always controversial. Look, it was cool though. Like I watched the live stream, so it was something really cool. IFBB Pro League Oz ran a live stream on their Insta, and fuck, it was neat, man, just watching these guys come out on stage, and I was like, holy shit. I saw the Masters come out, and I think I sent you a photo and went, fuck, that's how Masters should do it, you know?
Yeah, that made me feel a lot better about my legs, though. I mean, I certainly haven't got the upper bodies to match those guys, but made me feel a lot better about my knee injuries and not being able to train my legs like I want.
Yeah, touchy point as you get older, and that sweet.
Not having legs because you're a master. Bullshit.
Well, I've got knee problems. I'm struggling to train my legs properly. I've got all these knots and scar tissue. So, but
I've got knee problems. That's different. But you can have knee problems when you're 20. My legs are not where I want them to be, and they're certainly not, where I want them to be as a bodybuilder. But for an over 50 bodybuilder, they're definitely, good enough. So I kind of like, do I keep smashing my legs and sort of destroy my knees completely so I can't train them at all? Or do I kind of go, just cut my loss and go, actually, they're good enough for over 50s? Honestly, I'll tell you, I stumbled across some just different little things, equipment I use and whatnot. My knees hurt less now, and I'm nearly 50, than they did for my entire 30s, just through better prep, better shoes, knee sleeves, things like that. A whole lot of different reasons, but all combined together, they all improve bit by bit. Like getting the right shoes improved the pain reduction about 25-30% immediately.
But
We might have to
yeah.
talk off here then. 'Cause,
I wasted a decade of
wear what I'm wearing. So
oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think you valid point, Mike. I used to have chronic tendonitis probably from about 18 years old through to when I tore my quads off at how I was, just under 40 or 40. And then after having them sewn back on and doing the rehab and that, fucking no tendonitis. I'm like, yes, I fixed the motherfuckers by ripping them off. So, there's an upside, but I think a lot of it comes down to the way you train and using things like knee sleeves and heat and all that kind of thing, but also your diet, like some of the supplementation that you're taking, some of that stuff really does have an impact on inflammation. And it's certainly, I think, Mike, certainly a few things to have a look at there.
Yeah. The biggest win for me, I got the right shoes. I got these powerlift shoes and they were like $110 from Rebel Sport. And honestly, guys, they live in this little bag. I carry them into the gym. I put them on in the gym. They're not even allowed out of the gym. I don't wear them on concrete or nothing. These things are going to fucking outlast me. And what I learned, I actually was videoing a squat and I got injured. So I was able to show the physio the injury and explain what happened. And because I didn't have strong-sided shoes, that little 1 degree tilt at the ankle turns into a 10-degree tilt at the knee, and that's where shit goes wrong. And so having shoes that are not just solid on the platform, but solid on the sides, your chucks just don't cut the mustard, So just preventing that ankle rolling, stays about 10 degrees at the top. And the pain, it was never a blowout injury. It was always a lot of niggle for, 20 years, and that got rid of 30-40% of it straight away. So yeah, these $110
I've been using the barefoot walking shoes, which is supposed to be like having no shoes on at all, because I'm kind of going with the, just being in contact with the ground, just sort of, let your feet spread and sort of use your own balance. But I mean, I kind of got them at the range I squat. I can't go too deep. My knees start collapsing in. And
a lifted heel, like in a lifting shoe, actually does help a lot. And I've never been one to put one of the quarters under my heels when I squat, but I've always had a lifted squat shoe for squatting in, and it definitely does. It makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a catch-22 in my circumstance. With those shoes, as you say, you're getting a much wider foot position, so that's going to reduce ankle movement, or you can have just really strong sides, and that's going to reduce ankle movement. But if you wear those funny sort of barefoot looking shoes, you look like a fucking hippie. Which probably fits in down in David Bain country, but get out your paper around in your funny jerseys, mate.
Killing it.
I don't think I'll be mistaken for a hippie.
Oh, that is gold. Mike, you are a PC character. No, look, that was fucking funny though. The topic today that we were going to have a bit of a talk about, because it's made a little bit of a stir. Two of the big boys going in to compete in about 9 weeks from memory, 10 weeks. We've got Nick Walker and Blessing, and they've been throwing a few fireworks, and there's been a few ding dongs online. So I don't know if you guys spotted any of that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Paris, you come across it yet?
Yeah, a bit. I think Nick's gonna destroy Blessing. I just have a feeling. Yeah.
It's interesting, man. Because no secret about it. I fucking follow Nick. I think he's fucking phenomenal, and he's just a huge talent. And I kind of was, Nick's gonna walk this one. And then I went and had a look at some pictures, and I went, you know what? I think fair to say Nick is a fucking good bodybuilder, but it's going to be a tough win for him and Blessing. I think they're both fucking phenomenal, but I do think that Nick will prevail because he leaves no stone unturned. That guy is absolutely clinical. He jokes around and he's a fun guy, and but when it comes to it, he trains when he trains, he eats when he eats, he doesn't skip anything. And he's just relentless. I think he reminds me a lot of sort of like Ian Valliere, that same kind of fucking 100% in sort of thing. So my kind of initial take was very much it's all Nick's. Now I think it's going to be a case of, the competitor that shows it best on the night and comes in and dials that last little percent is going to take it. But probably aside from that, some of the there's been a bit of back and forth between the two camps, and a few other people jumping on the bandwagons, and it appears that there's a little bit of a feud or a bit of a tiff going on, and I kind of wonder.
I know that's the fun stuff to talk about, and we'll talk about Blessing versus Nick. But they made a good point on Bird's podcast the other day that both of them have just got to try and beat Justin Rodriguez, don't they?
Yeah.
10th of the O, so he's the man to beat. If you beat him, then you can kind of legitimately say, I potentially could be, in the top 10 in next year's Olympia. So they're all kind of like almost like they're battling up for second place at the moment. They're arguing over second place.
Did Justin beat Nick in Nick's first outing? Was he in that show?
I think Nick beat Justin.
Did he win that show?
Yeah. Did Nick beat Justin?
I thought he won. I thought he won that show, and Nick came fourth.
Oh.
I could be wrong though. Michael, no.
Nick didn't win a show. No, I don't even know that Justin's ever won a show, but
no,
I do know that Nick wins the front varicose vein pose. Beyond that, I think you look at the social media. Blessing's a witty kind of guy, and he creates a bit of humor, and I think he's taken the opportunity to create a bit of humor, create a little bit of hype. He's just trying to get attention. Whether they admit it or not, there's a bit of Instagram fame call-outs goes on up there, and it's like, I know that guy, therefore I'll call him out. And there's a little bit of attention and it goes on. I've seen it. He's trying to make sure that people are aware he's in the lineup even, and he just happens to call out the other big freak. I think if you look at the balance of it, Nick's going to win because from behind he's going to smoke Blessing. Blessing's got very high lats. Blessing's amazing arms and shoulders and whatnot, but I think the back often can take it. But they're just trying to make noise.
Yeah, look, man,
condition wise,
it's quite a good thing from a bodybuilding publicity point of view, and so I'm kind of waiting till about probably 8 or 9 weeks out from the NABBA Nationals, and I'll announce that I'm going to do the NABBA Nationals, so then me and Mike can have a fallout. So I'll get to fucking, tell them that I'm going to fucking.
That'll make for some good podcast.
It smacks of frenemies, doesn't it?
No,
it smacks of frenemies. It doesn't seem real.
But it's kind of cool, man. Like I think we look back and you look at some of the battles that have been, and you look at I think Phil Heath and Kai was gold, man. Like viewership just went like that because people wanted to see these two guys that had a bit of animosity, and behind the scenes, who knows? I mean, it could have all been put on, or it could have been just a friendly rivalry they're having a bit of fun with, or genuinely there could have been something in it. And the fact that they kind of pull that off as it's coming into the fight is very much reminds me of back in the 90s with heavyweight boxing, where two boxers would square up and at a weigh-in there'd be a bit of a push and a shove, and it kind of brings a bit of hype to it. So I really like that kind of thing. Whether Nick and Blessing is real deal or they're just having fun. Nick seems like a fun guy. He jokes about everything and doesn't take life too seriously. But whatever it is, it's going to be awesome to see them on stage. So these are the two men in question.
It feels like somebody in the Redcon marketing department has put this together and said, "Oh, here's the board of how we're going to play it all out, and let's just hope Nick jumps on board." And I've only seen Nick in one podcast, and he didn't seem to have that much of a humour. Or he didn't seem to cotton on to some of the jokes, but
quite dry. Yeah,
he seemed a bit angry on the last podcast. Maybe his calories are getting low, or he's jumped on the trend or something. But he seemed a bit angry on the last podcast he was on.
Yeah,
definitely a freak though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's fuck. Those are some serious fucking arms, man.
Arms are fucked, man.
He's like
Paris,
America's answer to Paris.
Yeah, Paris. I want to hear your call on this, man. What are you thinking?
His arms are fucked up.
Looking in the mirror, isn't it?
His head's getting smaller. His arms are getting bigger.
But he's about 5'7", isn't he?
Yeah.
5'3".
No, you're right. He's shorter than 5'9" anyway, and he's sitting up at what's he sit at in the
280 or something.
70s at the moment, I think. But yeah, it's just crazy. We'll see what else.
Is it like looking in a mirror, Paris?
Fuck off.
I meant from here up.
That's just ridiculous. Look at
Jesus, that's nuts. Oh, that's right. He's the ass man, isn't he?
He's pretty nasty, yeah. Like he's really grainy.
that.
Yeah.
He talked about letting some girl lick his ass. I'm thinking, how does she get her face in there?
Just be pragmatic. Oh, well, that's
You would know, Nate. How would you get your face in there?
There's gold. Love it.
Come on, you've won a NABBA title. We know.
Yee-hee. It's not the 90s anymore, Mike. Right. And blessing.
Nice socks.
Fuck, it's hard.
Just letting the deodorant dry under the armpits, I see.
I've
He's got a prettier physique, you know. It's a more it's got better flow, it's more aesthetic, it's more sort of bubbly, you know. But Nick's just, you know, you can't go past it. It's just hard, grainy, big, well put together, symmetrical. You know, the only knock I guess on Nick is that midsection is a little bit wide, but you know, I like Blessing's physique better, but I know that Nick will win in a head-to-head from what we've seen on stage from them before.
It's hard to say until you see them side by side. I mean, Blessing looks huge, but then Nick might just swamp him. You don't know. Blessing looks a little underdone in the size and the quads.
How tall is Blessing?
You know,
is he similar height to? Is he similar height to Nick, or is he taller? Because he looks quite long through the leg when you look at that leg to torso sort of thing.
His legs aren't as big as Nick's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be. Yeah, I think it. I still think Michael is Nick, but a close fought battle. And if he comes in off, then Blessing could take that. So that's my view on it. Should we run down Mike Tab? What do you think about that?
Yeah, as I said, I think Nick still got it. He just seems a bit more seasoned. I mean, I know he's only done one pro show, but everything just looks harder and grainier, and you know, like it looks more mature. It probably isn't, but you know, he's only 26. So how mature could it be? But just looks a lot harder and grainier. You know,
you should have seen Nick's reaction to Guy Sistanino when Guy said that he would rather have, I think it was Ian's physique or something like that. And he said, the only reason I'm saying that is because, you know, he's got this mature muscle and Nick hasn't got it. And Nick kind of went, what do you fucking mean? I've got mature muscle. And they had this little debate about it. It was fucking funny, man. It was hilarious. But you're right. Like, he's got a maturity about it, a thin skin, that hard, grainy muscle that really you usually see on a bodybuilder into their 30s and into their 40s, that kind of really knotty, hard, you know, Dorian Yates-esque sort of physique. So
I just googled Blessing, and apparently it's 5'10".
Okay. So
it lists his weight as 235 to 245. So yeah, I don't know.
Looks a hell of a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, at 5'10", well, you compare that to 5'7" and 275.
His arms look 235.
Yes. Gifted.
Black man genetics.
Hey, what's your thoughts, Paris? What's your sort of summary on the Battle of the Giants?
Nick's Blessing hasn't had his pro debut yet, right? So Nick's had a lot more experience. This will be Blessing's pro debut.
Yeah, he was scheduled. He was going to do the Australian Arnold, but obviously COVID shut that down last year, I think it was. So
yeah,
he's done a prep for a pro. You know, he's won the Arnold. I think it's the Arnold amateur twice, I believe.
yeah.
Imagine walking into a pro debut looking like that, though. Well, what a fucking dream, you know, to go. I'm going to walk into a pro debut looking like I should be on this fucking stage, not, you know, trying to scrape yourself into the top 15 and be fucking happy with being that good.
Reckon Blessing.
Hold on, I did scrape into the top 15 and I was fucking happy.
Genuine. I was being genuine there. I was absolutely genuine, you know, like, but, you know,
mate, I cried when I got 12th in my pro debut.
Fuck, I cried and sulked for 3 years when I came 6th in my amateur debut. So, you know, I understand that fully, bro. I fucking hear you. Sorry, Paris, we cut you off there, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Blessing, you know, like he's his pro debut, whereas Nick's probably a lot calmer, you know, like Nick's already proved himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a blessing might cake it.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. That experience does count for something in terms of consistency. But who's Blessing working with? Is he working with
Matt Jansen?
Is he? Blessing.
He's with Matt Jansen. Oh, Blessing or Nick? Nick's with Matt Jansen.
Yeah,
Nick
with
is.
Jansen. I think Blessing's with Chad.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh well, you know, that kind of, I suppose, takes away a bit of that. You know, when you've got a coach that's that experienced in terms of getting it right, it's probably a bit easier than trying to get it right when you're doing it by yourself or you know, without someone of that caliber. So but yeah, I think, you know, the favour's definitely leaning with Nick. So soon.
He's also got Blessing's also with Redcon, and Kai Greene's with Redcon, so there'll be a large amount of salty grapefruit in the diet.
When is rumour that Kai Greene is going to get on stage, and people are saying it's probably written into his Redcon contract.
Have you watched Kai Greene on the Redcon recently?
Only one video. I've seen one video.
He's lame, man. Like, he's gone really weird. He's like he acts like
weirder.
He's gone really strange, man. He's got real strange. He's got proper.
He was. I met him in 2010 in Australia, and nice guy, but an unusual person. Yeah.
Look, he does his own thing, man. He's a free thinker, and he's out of the box. But you know, take nothing away from him as an athlete and as a ferocious competitor. I think he could still get up there. I mean, it's not a layoff like, you know, like I kind of went to when Kevin Ravone came back, and I went to the Olympia, and I was expecting to see Kevin better than I'd seen Kevin, because, you know, he was doing this, and you do realise that time off actually has a fucking big impact, because there's fucking X amount of years that you haven't done the consistent day in, day out that the other competitors are doing. So at that top level, is the amount of time significant that he's had off?
You know, I've said that many times. I've talked to people about both Flex and Kevin, their time off, and you remember when they stopped training, they shrunk away spectacularly, and so they were bringing it back. Whereas, you know, obviously not that I'm in the same caliber, but I took 9 years off, but I never stopped training hard. I never stopped being a bodybuilder, you know, and so it wasn't quite the same. It was like, to me, it's like if you put a 71 Mustang in the paddock and leave it for 9 years, you're trying to rehab a piece of rusty shit. Whereas, you know, in my case, it was a 79, you know, Cortina at least, but it was in the garage, and it was getting polished and looked after and tuned up, and so it wasn't as hard. And so with Kai, he hasn't stopped lifting weights and being a bodybuilder. He just hasn't happened to have stepped on stage. That's the only difference, and so that's why he'll be fine if he comes back.
Paris, your thoughts?
You should put the grapefruit video up.
I'm not putting the grapefruit video up. It's gold, but no.
Nate's got a very, very similar video, but he used a grape.
A grape, yeah. Which is, you know, bigger than the size of one of my nuts. So, you know, fucking hey.
You've got more than one.
It's all about the ratio. It's all about the ratio. Not the old fucking dick to balls ratio argument again. Top 10 reasons to atrophy them. No, look, it'll be interesting if we do get Kai on stage. You know, as you say, it probably hasn't been that much time. He has been training, and he looks pretty fucking good. So if we see him, we see him. So interesting times. Rightio, people. That's enough afternoon debating and commentary from us. Hope you guys are all having a great week. Those in Auckland, big ups out on Sunday. So get back to those gyms and hit it with a vengeance. See you soon.